Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about getting involved in a conversation with a long talker. I'm Keith.
And I'm Rodney, and my dogs are in somebody else's. Hey, get out of the garage. It's not your garage. Let's go. My dogs are in somebody else's garage, and this is the Dad Chronicles, where we talk about the things happening in our lives, like what our dogs are doing, and leaving tidbits of information for our daughters and our future selves, and building community with you. So, long talkers, or as I like to call them, sailboats, which I think you and I both can be. The question is, for me at least in this, how do you, Keith, go about breaking into one, like a conversation when somebody's going like, do you have a strategy or a thing you
Yeah,
do?
it's a good question. Thing I love about this one is for the girls in 20 years, we're going to just give them, we're going to make this a searchable repository, and they're going to ask us, Dad, how do I get, like, this person, she just, or he doesn't stop talking. How do I get a word in
Oh,
edgewise?
we're
And
just
we're
gonna be
going to
like,
go, yeah, go look it up.
look up one
Dad
one one fifty
Chronicles.
four. That's 154. We handled that because we're gonna be AI by then, but I want my AI to be like white haired and sound like this. Don't be like, yeah, that's 154, darling. Go
That's
check it out.
so good. It's gonna be Alexa, pull up Dad Chronicle 154. Um, Interesting, because I definitely consider myself a long talker. However, um, it's this fine line, like how I interrupt, because I don't like interrupting people in general. It all depends on what we
Do
need
you
to get
like being
done.
interrupted?
It depends. It depends on if, because I'm also aware of the fact that I can long talk. So to interrupt me, I'm okay with it. So even if I'm on this train of thought and I need to get it out and I need to finish it, um, I'll keep going if I get interrupted. Like, let me just finish this thought. And I respect the fact that I get interrupted. I do that to you all the time. Um,
Yes.
but on the other side of it, not everybody thinks of themselves as long talkers. Most people I've encountered who are understand that they can be. So it's like a preface. Hey, interrupt me if I talk too much.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm.
but I generally like to listen to what people are saying, and so it all depends on the external factors. Do we have an extra amount of time? Like if we're on a podcast with someone who's a long talker, I like to hear what they're saying. Now, there reaches a point where it's like, okay, we've got to interject here, or whatever the case, or maybe I'm running late to something else, or we only have a half hour scheduled. I try to do it politely. Be like, hey, hey, did you mind if I interrupt you real quick? Because I have a question. And that's typically, the way I go about it.
Um,
How
I
about you?
thought I started to feel like this was an experiment in me figuring out what I was going to do to break into your long talk. But I would say I am very bad at stopping people from talking. Specifically when I need to go do something else.
Yeah.
Like when I'm captive, and I need to get going. In conversation, it's a little bit easier. Like when it's just
Yeah.
like just the flow of conversation, a
Yeah.
little bit. The podcast has really helped because sometimes I just like it's a conversation and we need to move things forward. We can't just sit on something forever.
Yep.
So I have become a little bit more more gooder at breaking into people's train of thought and allowing them to continue, but then just like interjecting myself into the thought, like, hey, okay, like we're having a conversation here. But yeah, I can be a long talker. I wouldn't say I am. I think it depends on what. Like I'm a soapboxer. When I pull the
Mm,
soapbox out, when I pull that
yeah.
box out, then it's a you're in for a doozy.
I was
But
at the
generally, yeah, go ahead.
dentist the other day, and my dentist is a long talker. And I had to get to a call. I'd already been there for 50 minutes, and she proceeded to come in and talk for 5 minutes without even looking at my face, like other than my eyes, because she's telling a story. And It's that's to your point. It's like the interruption at that point is very selfish, and it's hard for me to do because it's like I've got to get going. So can you please stop talking? Is a really hard interruption to make. I actually didn't make it. I told myself in my head, I said, if we go on to one more point, I'm going to interrupt this because I do need to get going. And the story ended and we moved on. So I had a longer leash in that regard. But yeah, that is
is it
definitely a
selfish?
difficulty.
I mean, I take it as selfish, and that's partially why I don't do it.
Well,
But
that's
like,
why
if
it's
you really need to
difficult.
get going,
Yeah,
like,
it's not. It is selfish, but it's important, right? So you do have to set that boundary. And again, at that point, for me, it's all about being polite. It's like, I'm so sorry to interrupt your story. I really have only a few minutes left. Do you think we can finish my exam so I can
and
get out of
politeness absolutely can be detrimental
here?
to
Explain.
trying to. Well, I mean, if you're sitting like,
polite. If you're just sitting there being polite and
yeah,
not,
you're just sitting there being
yeah,
polite,
yeah,
letting somebody go on and on and on, and then it's like,
yeah.
hey, where were you? You're supposed to be here for this meeting an hour ago. It's like, oh, yeah, my dentist was going on, and I just had to let her.
Yeah. Right. There's a kind way to be polite and interrupt. And
I found from the area in the world in which I grew up, Indiana,
yeah,
we tend to be pretty poor at this, and tend to be long. There are a lot of long talkers that I grew up with. We tend to be pretty poor at stopping it.
yeah,
I don't know what that means.
yeah. It's a balance
Generalizations.
of polite and polite, right? Like it's like I need to do this politely, so I don't want to do it rudely. But being polite is listening to you, so it's this fine line.
See, and I think maybe a redefinition of polite would be useful here, because polite isn't just letting you go on.
Correct.
Polite is actually, hey, I don't care. Like, you don't say I don't care about that, but like,
Right.
if I don't care about it, or if I actually need to do something else, polite would be sharing that, because what ends up happening is I go on to the next thing and resent the hell out of you for making me late because I was trying to be polite.
Or I stop listening to your story and I'm not being polite because I'm not hearing you, because all in my head I'm like, okay, when is this person going to stop talking? And then I start thinking about the next thing I have going on and all that other stuff. Yeah.
So the polite thing would be, hey, you know what? Let me stop you there.
Yeah. So anyway, this was a fun little Friday video.
Fun
Friday video.
Fridays are fun. We
But
gotta go.
yeah. How do you, but though, like, do you have a trick to interrupt? And this isn't a judgment on long talkers. Like I said, I'm a long talker. Look, I'm long talking right now. But I'd be curious to if anybody has any nice polite tips on how they interject themselves into a long talk.